happy and healthy New Year. I'm sure you've heard that a number of times, but happy and healthy New Year to us all. Will the delegate assembly please come to order? Major, would you like to lead us in the pledge? Major Matino, PDSO.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Done?
Please be looking over the minutes.
I didn't get one.
And while you're looking over the minutes, our busy deputies will give us a law enforcement report. Please. Kathy?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. I think you had a lot. Hope everyone did have a good holiday season. Last month was a little busy, so I'll try to go through the crime report as quickly as I can. I have a lot of business to attend to. So for our traffic report last month, for December of last year, we had 17 citations written, 27 written warnings. We only had 7 accidents, which was good. One was a hit and run that we followed up on. For the activity report, we had 231 calls for service and 52 case numbers were reported. Of all that activity, again, you hear us say it all the time, the most pervasive activity here in the village is fraud. So we had some interesting fraud cases I want to bring your attention. We had multiple cases of fraud. I can say this, out of these cases, I won't bore you with a lot of them. It's getting better because 3 of the residents knew that they were being scammed, and they caught the fraud with their banks before there was any loss, which means that's great. We're getting educated, we're getting to know this, and we're getting on top of what's going on. Because these fraudsters are very savvy, and they do a great scam on the front end, but our citizens and our residents are becoming more aware of this. So we did make an arrest on an organized scheme to defraud. There was a resident that was defrauded at a Money Mart store. That was a longer term investigation when our detectives made an arrest, and both people were arrested in that, which was great. A resident had checked her credit reports and discovered a loan account that she did not authorize, and there was an outstanding balance of $17,000. Again, this is a resident or a citizen being proactive and checking credit reports like we tell you guys to do, and she discovered that, and she's able to take care of that now with the credit bureaus and the financial institution. A resident received a notice from PayPal with an overdue account. Now the interesting thing is, PayPal is very pervasive in the financial markets, but she didn't have a PayPal account, but the person was so adamant on the phone, she did send $20,000 to take care of this outstanding debt. But now these are one of the ones where as soon as she got off the phone, she realized, she goes, no, she sat down, had a moment of clarity and said, I don't have a PayPal account. She got with her bank and within minutes reversed the charge and there was no loss. So remember, there are really good actors on the professional academy award-winning people that get trained to commit fraud. So don't fall for it. Use your instincts. If you don't know people, just hang out. Your life was okay before you got that phone call. And if it's too good to be true, it is. Hang up on it. Also, we had some issues with bike thefts. So I think I'm going to get with George. Sergeant Crucial is going to talk to you about some stuff. We have Sergeant Newcomb, our detective sergeant. They want to do some creative things. But December was not good for bike thefts. We had 4 bike thefts take place in the village, and one of them was an electric bike. Those things are expensive now. That's the new technology people are using to to kind of be more mobile. These electric bikes cost a couple thousand. That was a $2,500 bike. So our detectives are checking pawn shops, we're checking on investigative leads, but we're not going to let that go. We're going to kind of do some other things in the future to see if we can catch whoever did that with the bikes. If you do get a bike, make sure you have the serial number. That helps out a lot. Or maybe take a picture of the receipt, because that receipt has some unique characteristics of where the bike was bought, and we can follow up in case a bike gets stolen. And we got two cases of vandalism. One was tires being slashed, and the other was a resident that pulled on a gate and they broke it off. So other than that, that was our crime report. Does anybody have any questions or need assistance from the sheriff's office? Okay. All right, great. Thank you so much. I know you guys are busy, and thanks for the time. And whatever you need, we're always here for you. So thank you. Stay healthy.
All right, thank you. You all got the message. Get a bike, lock it up. Make sure you have the serial number. Okay. If you have the serial number, the police will alert the local pawn shops, and they'll be on the lookout for it. I think another source of bike theft is the scrapper that goes around in his truck and picks up anything that even has the hint of metal. And we try to control that. Anything that's metal and not locked down, that guy will grab. All right, have you had a look at the minutes? Any comments or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none? What, we have, where is it, Fausto?
On the left, all the way against the wall.
I noticed that it said.
Sir, could you please come up to the mic?
Yeah.
Your question might be important to other people. I don't know. Whoa, well, I'm pleased to announce, and thank you very much, we have 142 delegates signed in. Clearly, a quorum plus. Great.
Okay,
Now, a little closer to the mic.
yeah, John Howard, Andover J. I notice it says that the change in policy on masks, they are now optional. And at the front it said a mask is mandatory. Maybe that should be reconciled.
Yeah, EVA's policy for the clubhouse in general is optional, but we in UCO have made masks mandatory. All right, well, I hear the question, I knew I'd get it, but if I put this mask on, you're not going to be able to understand a word I'm saying. All right, yes, I have been vaccinated, but so what? It is recommended that masks be worn. Okay?
Is that in the theater?
So, seeing nothing else, the minutes will be accepted as presented. Okay? Law enforcement. President's report. Couple of things that might be of interest to everybody. A group of Orthodox congregants have formed a corporation. Folks that live here on campus have formed a corporation, Kal Hasidim, and have purchased a medical center. Were you all aware of that? All right, that purchase has occurred. I believe on the 12th of January, it will make an appearance, they will make an appearance, a request at the DRO hearing, the zoning commission, to add the accepted purpose of the building as place of worship. So clearly it is their intent to create a synagogue in part of that building. It is my understanding at this point that most of the services that are there, such as the drugstore, which is of great interest, will remain. But you might want to attend that meeting if you have, no, I'm sorry, you can't attend the meeting. We were told that this is a closed meeting. I'm not sure why, but it's a closed meeting. So, this will come forward, this eventually, this is an advisory body, it will go to the full zoning board, I don't know if it'll come to the county commission, but just be aware, follow the process, and maybe Niels has some other comments on this. Well, that's not Niels. That's, Niels, you want to add anything to that? Yeah. Go ahead, Doc.
Okay, first I'd like to thank Mr. Hemmerich for providing a link to the Palm Beach County zoning website. I could never have navigated it myself. I downloaded some information yesterday that you might be interested in what the Orthodox Hasidim are proposing. The building is 31,800 square feet. They are keeping office, dental office, they might have a bank, personal service. They are adding a place of worship. Proposed use details. Rental will be 3,000 square feet, office 6,000, medical dental 16,200. If a bank goes in, 1,000, personal services 1,000, adult daycare 1,000, place of worship 3,600 square feet. That's approximately 1/10 of the floor space in that building. So if this has the force of law, everything that is there now will remain there now. Thank you, Mr. Hemmerich.
You want to add some inside information, Niels?
Sure, thank you. Happy New Year, Century Village. I just wanted to also note that Commissioner Weiss, Vice Mayor Weiss, is not here right now. He had another commitment. He's opening a fire station, but he will be here later because he just wanted to be here and talk to you all. About the Kal Hasidim, it's a DRO meeting, it's a development review officer, so it's just a staff level meeting. It is not open to the public. But I did talk to staff, given that there's so much interest in it, and they are willing to host an informational meeting for you all through Zoom. And so if that is something that there's an interest for, I can sure set that up and I'll coordinate with Dave if there is an interest. Can I get a sense of if there's an interest in that?
Yes.
That would be at the Vista Center?
No, I would just do it through Zoom so you all can just.
Oh, okay.
One thing though, but I'll work with Dave on this, so we'll get a date. Staff would like to receive at least the majority of the questions in advance, so they're ready and prepared to answer them.
So
And
would
obviously, when we answer the questions, follow-up questions are allowed, whatever.
So to
I
get
just
the
want to be
questions-
mindful of staff time and of your time, so we'll set something up. Go ahead,
Get
Dave.
the questions in advance, why don't they accept comment cards?
So because it is not, so there's kind of three levels of approval that, if you ask for small deviations, I mean, obviously there's entitlements, rights that are attached to the current building. If you need variances or if you're going to change anything, the lowest level of approval is DRO approval. So that is just a meeting with staff and a second level of approval if you want, and I'm just talking in very general terms here because I'm not a PZ&B guy. But if you're asking for more, then it can go to the zoning commission, and sometimes it requires their approval. And there are instances where you need the approval not only of the zoning commission, but also of the Board of County Commissioners. Now, my understanding is that Kal Hasidim, at this point, the approvals that they're seeking can be handled at the lowest level, so at a DRO meeting. No comments allowed, although, it doesn't hurt if you send them in. I mean, we will read them. But I do think that it might be good if we do move forward with that informational meeting. And thank you, Dr. Handelsman, for your keen interest in those records and for studying them and giving us a brief summary of what's being proposed. Any other questions?
Yeah, why don't we have former Commissioner Burdick come forward? Come up, Paul.
There are some rumors about living outside, something like the pool and people.
Paulette, you've changed.
Something's going on too.
I'm not familiar with all the intricacies.
She's got an
of the
accent, too.
proposal. So at this
She
point,
got
I
an
do not
accent,
know,
too.
but that would sure be a question that you might want to submit for.
I said she got an accent too.
Former Commissioner in District 2, Paulette Burke.
Thank you, sir. Will, would you check to see if there's any requirements for updating the landscaping? When you go by, you'll see some of those hedges are dead, some of the trees are dead, the grass needs updating. Since this is our opportunity now to get some improvements in the appearance of the place. Thank you.
Happy to check on it.
And then would you let David know?
What?
After you check.
Obviously.
All right, thanks, Paulette. Well, clearly, there's a great deal of interest, and I'll work with Niels, obviously, for this informational briefing. Okay? Moving right along. We've received some comments on the new buses. Now, we had Academy bus in here years ago. And fielding comments like the bus is too big. Well, talk to people on show night about whether the bus is too big. It'll be jammed to capacity. I got complaints that the buses are noisy. Folks, it's a bus. It's not a limousine. It's a big bus, and it has air brakes. For your safety and mine, thank God it has air brakes. Please, don't complain. I mean, if you really have, yes, if you see the driver going 50 miles an hour in the village, yeah, we want to hear about it. We want to hear about that particular problem. But don't fill our emails up with, oh, the bus is too big and the bus makes noise. All right? So I think we'll have the treasurer's report. And unless there are any questions on these items. Ed?
I'm ready. Good morning, everybody, and a happy and a healthy new year, which we talked about before. And as far as the face masks, I definitely was against removing the requirement by EGLA. We know what's happening. You could see it in the paper every day, and I could tell you at the show, 90%, 80 to 90% of the residents who went to the show was wearing a face mask. So it isn't such a big deal to keep that in place. As far as financial, I want to bring up one or 2 points, one of which I brought up at each meeting. We still need more proxies. The goal was 232, we've broken 200, but we still have a fair amount to go. And I want to stress, we discussed this at the last delegate assembly, that this is a very important point because we're talking on an immediate basis, an increase of 20 some odd dollars a month by WPRF for a $3.5 million air conditioning system. And over the next 10 years, which this program is for, it's well over $100 million that's at stake. So those of you, and I know I may be talking to the convinced and the choir, keep your eyes open. If your association hasn't done it, please do it. Come into the office. Anybody in the office can help you. All the vice presidents, I will talk to you. But keep in mind, we have some way to go, and that can make a major difference, and the most major difference, to repeat it is, if we get to 232, we would have the option of revising the lease. It will also eliminate the loss that we had on the first arbitration. It will eliminate the second arbitration, and it will eliminate the necessity to go forward on the lawsuit, which we already filed. Another thing is we all have probably gotten our new costs for insurance. And as you know, the insurance has gone up materially. But as you may also know and recognize that because of taking on assured partners, we were able to allocate different premiums to those buildings who did keep their buildings in shape and those that didn't. It hasn't been perfect, there's been some questions. They are being worked on, but that's the goal, and this is the first time we've been able to accomplish it. I don't think they've distributed everybody's score yet, but that will happen. There has been some problems that have come to me, have gone to Tony. There has been some problems of allocation, and there has been questions that there was one line item on the Yugo budget that many people haven't seen before, and that was our contribution to the reserves. And I had several questions on it, and the answer is there was always an item for the reserves, but it was hidden in the general expense. I decided this year to break it out so you know what's going in, and we have a little over 10 million in our reserves right now, and there's been some adjustments as to what has to be made. As far as the current December 31st, I'm happy to report we had a good month. I can give you the exact amount, and we're done with the year to date. While we haven't, while we've been under budget, however, the actual reports show a positive result. And I believe in this, without looking at it, we had about a 30,000 plus month of December, and overall for the whole year, and that's going to be subject to the audit, which is starting right now, about 18,000 plus. So I feel that a budget is an estimate, and I think we really did a good job. And we hope to do as well in 2022, although there's some other items that we have to absorb. If there are any questions, the mic is open. If you want to come and see me on any individual item, come in and we'll take care of whatever questions you have. We're working with several CAMs on items that have to be cleared up. And one or two may be major. Having said that, again, I wish you all a happy and healthy new year. And I'm glad to see that we're getting some nice attendance from what I see in the two shows for the New Year's and the show on Tuesday for Sarge.
And you did.
That's it, sir.
Excellent and brief report. Dominic.
So I'm gonna read to you something quickly. I'm writing an article regarding what Ed just mentioned about the insurance. So it's 3 minutes and then I'll be through. Our condominium insurance carrier, Assured Partners, sent a small party of engineers tasked with inspecting all 309 associations' electric rooms to identify the condition and manufacturer of the circuit breakers that control the electricity provided for the association through FPL. In 1972, the brand of breakers utilized was manufactured by Federal Pacific, who placed underwriters' testing laboratory labels on thousands of untested breakers. To this day, Century Village, with 50-year-old breakers, has never had a fire caused as a result of a blackout. Therefore, this coming part of what we're going to review for insurance actually can be pushed aside. However, cursory inspections of the concrete elements, and that's what Ed just alluded to, that is walkways, stairs, railings, balusters, and columns, reveal that mild steel reinforcing rods buried in those elements, no less than 1.5 inches from the sloped surface, have rusted and expanding, causing dangerous fissures that severely weaken the integrity of the concrete elements. Concrete works best under compression but not under expansion. This is where financing comes into the picture. In order to prevent accidental collapses that could cause physical harm to the residents and visitors, responsible boards, you people, should seek funding to hire a qualified contractor to remove and replace those elements that have been exposed for 50 years to 65 inches of rainfall a year and periodic hosing that cause the dangers for life and limb in the first place. That's that. And the last thing I want to say is, finally, for less than a penny a day, you can purchase a Century Village barcode. Placed on your passenger side window that will last more than 3 years, allowing you to utilize the express lane rather than languishing in a long line, wasting time. That's it, folks. Thank you.
Any questions for Don?
About 15 or 17 years ago, all associations contacted the electricians, and they changed all the circuit breakers from the aluminum endings to copper, which was then up to date. So we're not talking about 50 years, but maybe 15 years. So this, I don't understand the report, that it is an old circuit breaker boxes. It was all updated, I think around 15 years ago, but it was done around that time.
I'm talking about the boxes that are in the electric room, not in your
Circuit breaker.
circuit breakers coming into the building, the electricity from FP&L, not the circuit breakers in the corridor of your apartment. No, it's not inside the apartment.
All right, Paulette?
Thank you for your patience, but I have one thought for consideration. Would you go consider developing a request for proposal and send it out there to the contracting world and ask them to respond and create a list so that we know that we feel confident that the people are licensed and insured, they do good work, and get sort of an estimate of what things would cost, so that we can go to that list as 309 buildings because not all of us have the experience with that type of major construction that would be involved.
I think we have to get a list of available contractors and available engineers.
I would be delighted to work with you on that.
Thank you.
I guess my only question on that idea, as Dominic noted, we've never had a fire in here spinning off
No.
those breakers, so it's an example, I think, of the old adage, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
I'm sorry, David, this is for the concrete work that needs.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm with you. The spalling rebar, I thought you were talking about the circuit breaker, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll look at that. Okay, Dom, anything else?
Well, that's it. Just pass it by and give you an alert that it's coming down the road.
Okay. Bob?
Well, good morning. Our treasurer pretty much covered everything I wanted to discuss as far as the signatures that are needed. And I can't stress that enough. If we want to get out of this contract with WPRF and their bosses, we definitely need those signatures. All right. I'd like to put out a call for volunteers to come and let's get some. We used to have a lot of volunteers helping out. We need volunteers desperately. All right. I personally would like to see volunteers come into UCO and get the vice presidents out of the front and have them go back to their offices. So if we can get some people to come in and volunteer, it would be awesome. There was some concerns over the closing of WPRF or all the rec facilities on Christmas. I think that needs to be mentioned. Huh?
Take the mask down, Bob.
Is this better? Sorry. You want me to start from the beginning? I didn't think so. Okay, the closing during Christmas, WPRF needs to be addressed. And I believe that we definitely need to address the management. And I think changes need to be done there because of what happened.
Please explain what happened in more detail.
Well, from what I understand, someone passed away,
Oh, Jesus.
and they locked up. They pretty much locked up everything for Christmas. We had people that came to visit. They paid for passes, and they locked up. They closed the pools. They closed the rec facilities. Everything. And that needs to be addressed.
Why was the person locked in there? Why was a dead person not found before it was locked up?
Good question.
Yeah, well,
Good question. I'd like to know why the security's being, security here is in two separate, they have two separate contracts. That needs to become one contract. All right? That way, one person is in charge of it.
accountability is what we need, is what it's trying to say.
Thank you. That's a good word, accountability. Exactly.
Probably something for the operations committee.
Yeah.
Probably something for the operations committee.
And I would suggest that if you have concerns about this, come to the operations committee, please.
Yeah.
All right? And once again, I'm gonna put out, we need volunteers. Okay? And that's all I got. You guys have a great day,
All right.
great month.
Let me reiterate, you can always use some interested volunteers to help run your community. Save us a little money. All right?
I have a question.
David,
Excuse me. I have a question for Bob.
what?
A question for Bob here.
Yeah. So, question for me.
Hey, Bob. On your report here, it says that the arbitration loss. What does it mean to us, money-wise? If you have any idea, what would and I understand there is another one coming in. So what's the difference between
There were
the
two separate arbitrations.
Yes,
Right.
but
One is for the rent, which we lost, and basically now they're getting, close to 10
What
million.
did we lose? The amount that we have to pay every month?
We wanted them to decrease what we have to pay because the majority of it, I mean, what is it?
We
Almost
It's
$8
reflected in
$8 to
your
$10 million?
current coupon.
$8 to
It's
$10 million.
approximately what, $7?
Yeah, $8 to $10 million that this company is getting in profit. Profit.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Let's try again. David?
Good morning. I want to make a clarification and/or correction about a question that was asked here at the last delegate assembly. The question was about having to pay for the band for the New Year's party. We did have to pay for it. We were unable to, Abby tried to cancel it, but the band said they had not enough time to find another job, and according to the contract, we did have to pay that. In Abby's defense, this is the first time any of the performers have done that here, and I'm sure that she will keep that in her notebook. All the other performers so far have been very obliging. However, this one wasn't, and I just wanted to clarify that. I should have done that last month, but I did not, so I'm doing it now. The next thing I want to bring to everyone's attention is that one of the jobs that I do at UCO, and I enjoy doing it, is that I look at the stacks of bills that we get from WPRF, and David and the other guys can tell you that it amounts to several inches thick in a month's time. And one of the things that I do is scan these into our system. I look at them. I was involved in purchasing for many years, so I'm pretty aware of a lot of the pricing procedures. And most of the times, they seem to be fair, but I do have questions on them, and usually I get a very satisfactory answer. And on occasion, they have even taken my advice and going to different vendors. I came across one invoice, and this is going to tie in with what Ed and Bob had said about the millennial agreement. And I sent this email to Eva, Monica, and Dan Cruz, which are our liaisons between WPRF and CENTREC. And here's the email that I sent. I recently came across this invoice from DSL Express from WPRF. Reference DSL Express invoice such and such. Dated such and such. The invoice totaled $1,973. It shows that the residents of Century Village are being charged this for the relocation of the administrative and ID office within the Century Village main clubhouse. Now, I'm saying, I know that the relocation is necessary due to the renovations to the main clubhouse air conditioning. I also went further in saying, I know that strictly speaking, your interpretation of the lease would say that we, the residents, have to pay for this. Going on further, I said, in my opinion, it takes a lot of hard bark to ask the residents to pay for this so that CENTREC can continue to operate business as usual at no expense to themselves. I know that we are at odds on the lease issue, but fair is fair. Management should have gladly taken care of this expense and any others related to this issue. My point is, $1,900 isn't a whole lot of money. So what they did is take the cables from one side of the building and move them to the other side of the building. We had to pay for that. And we also lost the room on that side of the building as well. Once again, it's just, we have to pay, and management is not willing or able to pick up any share. It's like we are paying them to charge us. To me, that's not fair. I did get one reply back from Monica Wells. Monica said she was in receipt of my email. Hopefully they went further with this, I don't know. But I have not heard anything from anybody about what CENTREC's position is on this. I just think this is another classic example of telling everybody that's here that hasn't already gotten on to the proxies with the millennial agreement that it's time for us to do that. And as most of the people know me here, I'm not very vocal on this shit. I'm very supportive of it, but I'm not the type of person that goes out and bangs on doors and shouts about it. But this item, when I came across this one, and I'm sure that there are other expenses that are involved in it, this one just got to be too much. I'm sorry. And I don't mean to drag on too long, I already have, but that's just my opinion. So what I'm saying is, if you haven't signed up, please get the proxies in. We're under 2 dozen to go, and we'll have the magic number. So if you know associations haven't done this, please encourage them to get with their boards and to get this possible for us. And I thank you for your patience.
David?
I would add to that. This these people moved from one room, which had phones and computers, to another room, which had phones and computers. And somehow we have some vendor called DSL Express who hit us for damn near $2,000. It's egregiously unnecessary. And I cannot imagine that there was a valid expense involved in that move. And if there was any sort of minor expense, that should have been eaten by management. And that's all I have to say about that. Please fill in those proxies so UCO can act as the point of the spear and renegotiate this egregiously obscene lease that we've been under for decades. Yes, Ken?
At the last operations meeting, Eva mentioned that they bought 2 iPads for another $1,900.
You believe that?
And there was no reason to spend $1,900 on 2 iPads.
I agree, 100%. They undoubtedly got the platinum version.
David,
Where's that coming from? Yes, it is.
when Dan got up and asked the question, what did we lose at the arbitration? We lost a tremendous point. The point of that arbitration was to change what we as unit owners have to pay and what WPRF has to pay. It was a major blow which we have to overcome. You're talking about 1 invoice, 2 invoices. How about for all the light bulbs? The key here is this original lease, not the amendment, all favors the unit owner. And I think I brought this up before. We paid about $12.5 million for the current year to WPRF, of which about $8.4 or $8.5 million went to their loan, which is perfectly without any expense whatsoever. Now, they paid $22 million when they bought this place. We paid $12.5 million just for 1 year, and $8.5 million of that was expense-free. And that is really onerous as far as I'm concerned. And that was the point, and it was a major point that we lost. But unfortunately, and bring this up, our attorney presented 1,972 pages in answer, and they refused to use that document. It could have made a difference. And that's why we have to go forward, and with everybody here on the stage saying, please, please put those proxies in, because the whole lease can be rewritten.
What about the time it was not used in the clubhouse?
All right, we're in the middle of officers' reports. Let's finish up officers' reports. Everyone will get a chance to speak. All right. Last but not least, Fausto.
First of all, I want to say Happy New Year. You've heard it a few times. Most of us are going to be going through building elections. UCO will be going through elections. Be smart. Vote people that are going to do the work of the building. Make sure that you're covered. I put it in almost every month. Make sure you have 2 or 3 officers that live in your building and that will stay through and follow through, because at the UCO office, I can't tell you how many people we get a day that are renters, that are realtors, that want to drop off paperwork because the officers say that there's no officers in the building. They're all on vacation. They're in Canada. They're in Jamaica. They're in New York, wherever they are. And we have to turn them away. So make sure that as officers of your building, you have somebody there that can conduct your business. And the other one that's very important, the president is dying. She's laying in bed, he or she can't do anything. So don't fill the spots by just putting somebody's name. Put people there that are going to work for your building. For new unit owners, step up to the plate. If you don't know, attend meetings, come to the UCO office, speak to your quadrant VP, and we will help you through any questions that you have. That's all I'm going to say.
Any questions for Fausto? All right, thank you, Fausto. And that brings us to CAD. Donald.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I wasn't quite prepared. Just a few things. Earlier in this meeting, a question was raised about the landscape improvement requirement at the medical building. The answer to that question is yes, there is a landscape improvement requirement in the request for the variance. In this past week, I've been contacted by two of the new owners of the medical building asking for assistance with improving the landscaping and the irrigation on the property, and I'm happy to help with that. Second thing is, excuse me, next month's meeting, this delegate assembly, I expect to see a draft security contract for your review and your approval. I was hoping to have it for you today so that you can have a month to look at it, but we've hit some snags in wording the contract. So in about a week or so, you should see that get to you through Dave's email blast. So I ask that you all take a good look at that draft contract, so if you have any questions before voting on it, you can bring them. Next thing is, over the next 3 months, Attorney Friedman from the Becker Law Firm will be holding condominium classes here at the theater. These are very important classes to attend, and I recommend that you all go through. The sign-in sheets are at the ticket office and also at UCO with the dates as well. I got two more things, I'm sorry. Today, several people approached me about the dropping of the Newsmax channel from the cable lineup. And we had a few complaints about it during the past week as well. This is what I made an inquiry on your behalf. This is what I found out. Newsmax wanted to effectively double the cost of providing that service, and that rate would go directly to the customers as a pass-through. So the cable company decided that since we could watch that channel for free on the YouTube channel, it would be pointless to raise your fees for that. For those of you who do watch that channel, if you just scroll down to the YouTube channel on your regular channel lineup, click on that and put in Newsmax, you'll be able to watch it live stream just as if when you had the channel. So yeah, some people. Anyway, the other issue is when Atlantic Broadband drops a channel, under the contract they're required to provide a replacement. And I'm told the replacement for Newsmax is the Paramount channel. I don't know if that's a good, bad, or otherwise, but that's what you got. You got the Paramount channel, it's something new. Last thing, we've had a number of situations in different buildings of Airbnb rentals. And if they, we deal with them when we find them. I check the Airbnb and similar websites about once a month. And when we find them, we go directly to the boards. I usually advise the boards to cut off the guest call-in privileges for that unit until it's straightened out. And it always is. But I'd ask you if it's something you want to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on strange people coming into units and maybe check those websites like Airbnb from time to time to see if you're on. Because that's just not good for anyone. Transient people coming in and out of here is not what we've signed up for. So that's all I got for today. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for CAD? Thanks, Tom.
Can you turn off your phones, please?
What? Well, somebody's running down here. carrying the Olympic torch, it would appear.
I'm impressed with the project.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, it's John from Dover. Thank you, board, for all that you do. Donald, on the landscaping of the building that was sold, can we make certain that in the blueprint that we then find ourselves having an outside walkway to sort of complete the village as it is presently 99%, instead of us going and making the upswing around the staircase in front of the real estate office and back down? Thank you.
Okay, I have a lot of background on that four-way. This issue was raised years ago by Les Rifkin because he bicycles and he wanted a sidewalk put in there. And we were told, I mean, we can revisit this, we were told that that would negatively impact the drainage on the four-way and that they would not, the county would not permit a sidewalk where that swale is. Donald can look into it again as new people come and go, but they were very adamant about not allowing us to put a sidewalk there. I know just what you're talking about. This issue has come up before. You got anything else on this?
Yeah, just one more thing, and I should have said this in my original report. There is a sidewalk along the front of the medical building, more towards the clubhouse. Next month, you're going to see that sidewalk be replaced. It's kind of messed up, some trip and fall issues there, and it's also too narrow. So that's on Hugo property, and that's an approved project that you'll see in the next month or so. All for permits now. Thank you very much.
All right, and that brings us to the editor-in-chief of our Hugo Reporter, the great metropolitan newspaper, Ruth Dries.
Second only to the New York Times. Good morning, everybody, and a happy New Year from me as well. My report will be the shortest of all. If you'll turn from the back of your packet, about 4 pages, you will see the reporter breakdown. And very simply, we made $35,000 in 2021. We are doing well. The expense cost is covered by the ads, so that's why we're ahead. Our largest expense are the printing and graphics. That's, as you'll notice if you look on the report. And that's all I have to tell you, unless you want to ask me anything.
Any questions for Ruth about the reporter?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, before committee reports, I think we'll hear from our distinguished guests. Art, wait a minute. Yes, we'll do committee reports after we hear from our guests. Why don't we start with Niels? Do you have any messages for us from Commissioner Weiss?
Well, I'm hoping he'll be here shortly and he can give you the message. I don't know if you all saw yesterday, he gave the State of the County speech in the Convention Center for the Chambers of Commerce. It was, well attended in spite of, COVID. County is looking good. We're being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. We have a $6 billion budget next year, 6,800 people strong working for the county. He touched on some of his priorities moving forward. Water is one of his concerns. Broadband, as you know, he's been working on that. So I'm hopeful that he'll be here shortly. One other thing, I've gotten some questions and inquiries about at-home testing kits. I know that the board last Tuesday approved staff spending $500,000 on procuring some of these kits. I just want to make sure that to lower expectations a little bit. It's going to be a lengthy process to procure these kits. I know that everyone and their aunt is trying to get them. The federal government is trying to buy them. The state is trying to buy them. So, if you're counting on the county to provide you a free testing kit, go today, starting at 10 a.m. They are giving away at several locations throughout the counties, some of those at-home test kits. But I just want you to know that if you want to try and get some of these kits, go on Amazon or go online and try to buy them. Because if you're waiting for the county to give you some, it may just be a while. So I just want to be straight with you guys and manage expectations appropriately. So there is actually, and I shared it with David, I don't know if you put it on your blog, David, the locations where we are providing test kits today starting at 10 a.m. Heck, they have already, they may have already ran out, but anyway, so that's really all I got, unless you got some questions. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Did I hear you say that you're going to use all of the FPL light poles to string broadband throughout the county? Did I hear you say that?
So that is a project that the county with the school district and the education foundation, they worked on that. They provided, because during the pandemic, it really showed how vital internet access is, and not everyone has internet access. So to make sure that kids in low-income areas have access, the county built these mesh, whatever, some technology. They put on power poles and they built like a network.
A mesh network?
Yeah, a mesh network, so that 2,500 families in low-income areas have access to high-speed internet. There's more. I know that Commissioner Weiss is working with the state on, this is a requirement from the federal government. They're really trying to map internet access throughout the country and see and make sure that people all have not just access to the internet, but access to fast internet. And to that extent, the state is procuring a vendor to map very detailed, where there are areas in the state, in urban and in rural areas, where we need to improve high-speed internet. There are going to be federal dollars flowing down to that end in the coming years, and Commissioner Weiss and some local community leaders are actively involved in providing input to the state prior to them procuring that vendor.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Any questions for Niels?
You can also, if you want to just ask me something, I'll stick around after if you want to grab me on here.
Years ago, there was an initiative to have the soundproofing done on the west side where the turnpike is, and this long story about the state, the long-term plan, and so on. And you're working with the state on this broadband project. Is there anything that can be done with respect to improving the soundproofing?
Just as a bit of background, we were told years ago that when in fact they widened the turnpike, which I think is in progress to our south, there would be one of those 20-foot high sound barriers put up.
Yes.
Is that still in the works?
I need to check on that. Don't know the answer,
Okay.
but I'll be happy to follow up and circle back with Dave, and then he can publish it on the blog.
Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks, Niels. We have representatives here of Matt Wilhite, Melissa Santoro, and Tom Vallejo. Do we actually get to vote in that election? Why don't you come up and tell us about this?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, to answer your question, we don't know yet. The reason is because this legislative session, every 10 years, we have a census, and then you have to redraw the district lines, so there's redistricting. That's one of the big issues we'll take on when we're in Tallahassee this legislative session. Right now, we've seen a couple of maps. There hasn't been a lot of progress done in the committees. We'll really get into that work starting Tuesday. And both maps that were drawn do show Century Village being cut out of what is now Representative Heights District, District 86. And it looks like it's putting you all in District 88, which is currently held by Lamar Hardy. So to answer your question, we won't know until about mid-March, once the maps are voted on and more finalized. But let's talk about the legislative session for a quick moment. And actually, to answer the question about the turnpike, those sound barrier walls, that would be an FDOT question. So if you'd like, our office will communicate with our representatives over at the Florida Department of Transportation to see where the progress is on a sound wall for the turnpike there. But let's talk about the legislative session. We go up on, I'm driving up on Saturday. We start Monday, and Tuesday is the official start of the 60-day legislative session. Some people would say the most dangerous 60 days in the state of Florida. And with redistricting, who knows, could be. Let me tell you a little bit about some of the legislation Representative Wilhite has filed and is planning on working on. We get 7 bill slots. We can file 7 bills. I'll just give you a couple because we could talk all day about those 7. Let's not. But I'll just give you a couple so we know what Wilhite is going to Tallahassee to work on for you all. How many people here know what step therapy is? I didn't know what it was either. I think I saw one hand come up over there. Step therapy is this. I'm going to give you a scenario. You go to your doctor, and your doctor says, I'm going to give you medication A. Okay, so you take the prescription for medication A, and you go to the pharmacy, and they go to get you your medication, and the pharmacist says, sorry, but your insurance company is only going to pay for medication C. Okay? So you take medication C, and if medication C doesn't work out, then your insurance company will say, okay, well, we're gonna give you medication B. And if medication B doesn't work out, then eventually you'll get over to medication A, which is what your doctor originally prescribed to you. Well, Representative Wilhite doesn't think that's right. He thinks if your doctor prescribes you a medication, that's the medication you should get, and you shouldn't have to be a ping pong ball between your pharmacist and the doctor. So, step therapy protocols, that's the name of the bill. It's gonna put in some protocols here. We're gonna, might not clean everything up, but we're gonna start making it so that that relationship between you and your doctor is what's really important.
Tom, is the language of this bill to be found on the internet?
Absolutely. You can go to myfloridahouse.gov. And if you want to grab Melissa or me before you leave here today, we'll make sure you have our email addresses. myfloridahouse.gov. You can go on that website. You can look up every single bill that's been filed in the Florida legislature. You can do it by member, so you can go down the list of all of the members and see what bills they filed. But you can absolutely look up the language for the step therapy bill on that website. And then one more bill I want to tell you guys about because I think it's an important bill we're working on. Did you all know that in Florida a business can turn you away if they don't want to accept cash as a payment? No, they can do that. They can say, sorry, we're virtual only, we can only take your credit card. And we were shocked by that, so we looked it up, and there's no federal law that says that a business has to accept cash, a U.S. currency. We don't
There's
want
something right on the script, Tom.
Sure.
That this is legal tender for blah, 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 blah. So how do they get around that?
Because there's no federal law that says they need to accept it. And that's one of our arguments. This is a federal legal tender, and they should have to accept your quarters, your dollars, whatever it may be. And we don't go up to Washington, D.C. We're in Tallahassee, so we can't change the federal law, but we can work on changing the laws in the state of Florida. And so we have a bill that says a business cannot turn you away if you choose to use cash as a payment. It's pretty straightforward, right? It makes sense? Absolutely. But
They don't want to get ripped off, so there's not enough cash, they can't rip off your.
All right, look. If you have something to say, come up to the mic. All right?
so that's another bill we're working on. It's just gonna require businesses to accept cash as a payment. Again, you can look up that bill on the myfloridahouse.gov website. There's a couple, little caveats. We're not gonna affect everyone, obviously, if it's a payment that occurs over the phone or online. They can't accept cash. It's gonna make it a little difficult. But I encourage you all to go look at that. Those are just a couple of the things we're working on. And if you have any questions for us, Melissa and I will do our best to try and answer those for you. Thank you again for having us here today. And we're looking forward to representing you for at least one more year in Tallahassee. Thank you.
some of this stuff clearly is very interesting to everybody in here. And you might consider putting together a little article, which our editor, I'm sure, would be glad to receive.
I think for a time we were submitting little blurbs a couple years back into the UCO Reporter. What I will suggest is during the legislative session, we submit a weekly email blast. It's called the Wilhite Weekly Wrap-Up. If you're interested in getting that, once again, you could email your state representative. His name is Matt Wilhite, and his email address is matt.wilhite@myfloridahouse.gov. Email us with subscribe to a weekly newsletter in the subject line. We'll make sure you're on that. We'll keep you updated, and we'll also more than happy to submit something to the UCO as well, so you guys can have that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa, did you want to speak for a minute?
Sure, good morning. It's wonderful to see everyone again, and not much more to say other than I'm Representative Wilhaite's District 8, and I'm in the office regularly. We help a lot of people out in Century Village, various types of issues that you're having with any state agencies. Tom mentioned the FDOT issue, that's definitely under us, and lately we've been experiencing a lot of issues with DEO, which is the Department of Economic Opportunity. So that's for those that are having issues with the unemployment system. We help those that have issues with food stamps. We have a variety of different things that we can assist you with. And I'm also very happy to connect you with other governmental organizations, because I know sometimes it's hard when you reach out to maybe your city commissioner, your county commissioner or whatnot, and you kind of just get ping-ponged around from elected to elected to find out who can help you. I'd be absolutely happy to help you and connect you to the right person that can get you there. So again, Melissa, it's great to see you all again, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful new year. Stay healthy.
Thank you. Sir, please.
Okay, my name is Arvin Telly, and I'm a fairly new buyer in the village. I'm first of all very pleased to know that there will be a 20-foot wall built to curtail the noise from the highway. But my concern is also that of low-flying planes. I think I have people in agreement because it's a real bother, and I've been thinking about finding the right authority to look at this issue. Could someone answer the question here from you?
What is the question?
A question about low-flying planes, noisy.
Low-flying planes?
Yes.
No, this has come up before. This is not a joke. I mean, this is the first I've heard about this. I thought they were on a track around the village. So you got to keep us informed. We can contact the airport. Absolutely, we have contacts there and complain about this. Now, obviously, it's not doing us a lot of good, but maybe some of our legislative assistants can help us out. Okay, this is very good. Do you have email?
Yes, I do.
Okay, would you please send this comment in to Donald Cam? Yeah, UgoCam1@gmail.com. And anyone else who has a complaint about low-flying aircraft, please notify us, let us know. We've had this issue years ago, and we did have, they built a cross runway years ago, and that's what led to this. But we had some success in mitigating this. Thank you. I mean, I haven't heard any of this. But of course, I'm in a 4-story concrete building. I'm on the 2nd floor. I don't even hear these aircraft. But clearly, some of you do. So let us know, please.
Well, those who were laughing earlier saying they don't believe me, you are welcome to Chatham A on second floor and come in. You will hear the low flying planes. It's an outreach.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, hold on. We have, I gotta hear from one more guest before we open the mic here. So, Rodney, would you like to say a few words for us?
Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you all had a great holiday season, so your loved ones. I myself was on a cruise, so I might have kept here. But going into 2022, again, just want to say Happy New Year, and this January is the 1 year anniversary of your clerk, Joseph Abruzzo, being in office. And just to go over some of the accomplishments he's done in the first year. When he first got into office, he immediately raised the pay to $15 an hour. So the lowest pay working at the clerk's office is $15 an hour. For the employees, he created an ombudsman program so that people who felt that they needed an issue addressed could feel safe and confident that they could talk to someone that was unbiased to get their problems resolved. He created a dependent care flexible spending account, the amount of $1,500, and that's for anyone who has children or is taking care of a family member, that they can use that money for those care expenses. He expanded more remote work positions during this pandemic so that people can still have their job but also work at home to continue to serve you. Enhanced technology that improved customer service. We've done more with our website, expanded the website. We're offering, you can do your passport application on the website, you can do your marriage application on the website, and other services. He went ahead and created a volunteer time off program for employees that can do community service and get that time to take as a paid holiday. And he has given a pay increase to employees, the cost of living increase this year as well. But, so I just wanted to say, I think I've been with the clerk's office for 8 months, and it's a great place to work. So if anybody knows anyone who's looking for a job, the clerk's office is hiring. So you can go to our website, mypalmbeachclerk.com/careers, and look and see what offices or positions are available, and come join our team. I'll see you next month.
Thank you, Reverend. Very nice to hear that your minimum wage in the clerk's office is $15 an hour. Some of you may remember, I remember when I was a kid working in my first job in New York, my wage was 75 cents an hour. Times have certainly changed. All right, hold on.
I have a question about the Millennium Agreement. Not a question, a comment. Now there's 146 delegates here. The other 146 delegates are there plus. They never show up. So you're like you're not talking to the right choir, you know what I mean? So how do you get to talk to the people that don't show up? These people show up probably month after month after month. But how about the others? I was looking at the UCO reporter the other day, and all the delegates that came. Windsor, there was three buildings that showed up. Where the hell are the others? There's more than 3 in Windsor. Where are they? That's the people you have to get to, not the people that come here every month. How do you get to those people? By you telling them, and I can't believe how many people in the village do not read the UCO reporter. Do not read it. It's just some bullshit, or I don't know what it is. But, aren't I right? And it aggravates me. Why I just decided to work at UCO was, I did customer service all my life. Telephone's not a big thing for me. You know, it's not a hard thing to pick up the phone and call somebody. That's why I went to UCO, but I didn't get that department. I didn't know if they have that department. But I think they should have that kind of a department, where you call people and say, hey, you know, this is going on, or whatever, you know, just, I don't know, is it against their rights for having a phone? But then again, I belong to the American Legion Auxiliary, and I did a phone thing. Because my area code is 203, Connecticut. Nobody listened to me. So, you know, you're like stuck between a rock and a hard place. But that was my comment. It just irritates me that the $20 more on my PRF every month would be a hardship for me. You know, I didn't have the biggest income. I did what I could, and I'm living here, and I'm living well. But at $20 more a month, I would have a hard problem.
All right, look,
That's my comment.
I don't know why everybody suddenly thinks it's open mic time. We have to hear from committees, all right? We publish a newspaper, thousands of copies. I've had a blog up for over 10 years. I send out bulk email to 2,000 email addresses, and if anyone wishes to be added, give me your email address. You know, short of carrier pigeons to every door, we could not be more open, transparent, and productive of information. All right? If you're not aware of what's going on, it's because you don't care. We make every effort to get information out. All right. Now, we're going to go now to committee reports, and we're going to hear from our nominations committee.
Oh, we got a man. Somebody wait.
No, wait till we open up the mics. All right? Go ahead, Bobby. Go get him.
I'd like to. I know behind all of these ugly masks, there are some very bright, interested people. And the way that you show your interest is to volunteer, put in your name, to volunteer to run for an elected committee. There's a chair. There's a chair on the stage waiting for you. In the back of your packet, I put in 2 flyers on the election. I write them very carefully. The information is very concise and very complete. Please read it and follow the directions. You have until January 15th to get your bio into Ruth. If you plan to nominate from the floor on February 4th, there is a page of how we will run the nominations from the floor. Please be prepared with the information that you have to bring. Let's make that procedure go very, very carefully. One thing that I want to tell you that after the Friday, February 4th delegate meeting, the UGO photographer will be in the lobby to take a photograph of each candidate, which will be included with the bio in the insert that will come out in the reporter that you will get at the end of February. If you want your picture in the paper, and that's very important, please make sure you see him after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Are there any other, obviously, I always say this, that committee reports should be submitted in advance to be published, but are there any committee chairs that must be heard? Committee chairs? Go on. Okay, I'm not aware of any unfinished business. Is there any new business to come before delegate assembly? Now, if you have new business, come up to the mic and be heard.
I just want to say one thing.
Please.
My name is Charles Estivo, Dorchester, Rhode. In regard to the sale of the,
Okay.
Take your mask off.
You're gonna have to take that mask down and get close to the mic. You might wanna wipe it off if you're concerned with the previous speaker.
my name is Charles Estivo, Dorchester, Rhode. In regard to the sale of the medical building,
Yes.
does the parking lot include that sale around that building?
Yes.
Are they going to maintain it and do the landscaping also?
One of the things that they've put in for, I don't understand why, really, is a reduction in parking. Well, now hold on. The one reason maybe this is a community with strict walk to worship. And they feel that parking is excess. Now, we're hearing a kind of counter argument. The place to be heard, ultimately, there will be open hearings on this. All right? And you will get a chance to be heard in this issue. But I don't really understand why one of the things they want to do is reduce the parking.
How about the landscaping?
The landscaping will be done equal to or exceeding code. And there is code, and there is also doctrine in ULDC, Uniform Land Development. So, yes, there will be landscaping. I think Donald mentioned he's working with them right now on some landscaping issues.
But they're paying for it.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course, it's their property.
All right, thank you.
Right. Did I see someone else up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, come.
No, I just have a general comment.
What? Come to the mic.
I said I only have a general comment.
Well, go ahead.
Every month when I get through the quarter, we live in fear of what building is being destroyed next.
Destroyed?
Whether it's putting in a pool, removing walls,
Okay.
you know, and then in the bottom it says, when this happens, the association is gonna have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get an attorney to rectify this problem. Well, first of all, I'm Mary Ann from Somerset Jail. First of all, when these guys come in, the first thing they do is cover the windows, change the locks, and doesn't let anyone permission in to see what's going on. Everything's done shady. We have to police them. It's ridiculous. My thought is, with the bylaws being written many years ago by Yuko or whoever wrote them before my time here, is what kind of backup does the association have? What do we do? Call the police when we see something going on and say, hey, stormtroopers, get over here. They're putting a pool in the basement. They're removing walls. Buildings are being damaged. What do we do?
Okay, you make some very good points. And I've seen some of these articles in the paper and in the CAM report. There is no way you can tell me that someone is putting a jackhammer onto a concrete floor, which would raise every mummy in Egypt, and the board of that building doesn't know about it. The board must enforce their bylaws.
What are they supposed to do? Charge in?
If necessary, you get your attorney to issue a stop work order. They're violating, listen, you can't jackhammer a building without appropriate permits. All right, now I understand this issue of building mikvahs in apartments. It's ludicrous. And I will tell you that the CAM is up to his neck in this. It's absolute nonsense, but the principal responsibility for that building lies with the board. If Yuko can help, we'll help.
Well, reiterating, sometimes the board is older people or people not there, and other people just turn away from it. I mean, in my building, it wouldn't happen because the minute I hear a hammer, I'm there. But it happens in many buildings.
I know. They take out load-bearing walls. Oh, wow, the floor dropped 3 inches. Quelle surprise. Go ahead, Tom, briefly.
All of us have association documents
We all have in our documents language that covers the right of the association board to make inspections of units properly noticed. You should be contacting your property manager, your attorney, and making use of that language. That's how you get in there. But ultimately, what stops action from being taken is money. Nobody here likes to hear, get yourself an attorney and get on this. Well, what's that going to cost? Can't you call the building department? Can't you do this? No. This is a private association, and it's handled privately. Get yourself a lawyer and spend some money. That's how you fix the problem.
All right, this lady's been waiting a long time.
Ah, it's all right.
Please.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the board for making the contract with Academy Buses. They're beautiful, they're accommodating, the drivers are great, so thank you for that. I hope everybody feels the same way because it's just nice not to see those ripping, whatever. Okay. Second thing is, in light of the Surfside disaster, I keep hearing trickle down from Tallahassee that they're going to require all of the associations to be fully funded. My question is what is Yugo doing to make sure that we are fully funded when this kind of hits the fan?
All of the associations to be fully funded.
Correct.
Are you speaking of reserves?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, you want Yugo to print you some money?
If you can, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Look, we will do anything in our power to assist you, but we're not going to contribute unit owner money to fund your reserves.
I don't need my reserves. I mean, you go for the common areas that Yugo is in charge of, on roads and those things.
The reserves are pretty well funded, let me tell you. But you're talking major money to resurface. There's no real need at this time to resurface. Surveyors.
That's really not my question, sir.
Help me out here.
That's not my question, sir. Again, they're going to require, even me as an association, only being the president of the board, they're going to require me to have enough money to cover the lifespan of the common elements and to make sure that when those common elements fail, I have enough money in my reserves to cover it. And this is what's coming down from what I hear from Tallahassee, and I'm curious to know whether
in my opinion, it's a knee-jerk reaction to an event that hardly applies to our buildings. Keep in mind, you know, it's nice to look at Surfside, oh God, the end of the world is coming. Our buildings are over 50 years old. Okay? If your association doesn't maintain your building, shame on you.
Again, that's not my question regarding my building.
Well, then I have to make the question so I understand it.
Well, then, okay.
What am I missing?
I don't know.
What buildings
Yugo's
do you?
reserves are funded and continue to be funded.
Perhaps this is a discussion that we should have separately, where I think maybe be more clear and, yeah, we can go there. The other thing I have is regarding the Millennium Agreement. I've spoken to quite a few people who are on boards and in charge of their associations, and it seems that a big problem is their distrust of the decision-making of the boards. That being said, when I, for example, asked for clarification as to what happened with the Hastings and the keys and the closing, we don't get a straight answer. It's this glossing over of details that is really not informing us. When we feel that we're not getting the meat and potatoes of situations, we feel a sense of distrust. So, maybe not me personally, but I can understand why other associations might use that to make an excuse to not trust the board to make a decision. And that's just an observation.
Okay, just a few points. I'm not fully knowledgeable, and I don't think we are, of what happened in this case. A gentleman died in the Hastings facility, possibly due to an overheating in the sauna. We don't really know that. I haven't seen the coroner's report, but he died. And initially, this poor guy was not detected by the clubhouse constabulary. All right? Now, year after year, Eva keeps using this phrase, my guard's this and my guard's that, making every effort to separate her platinum guards from our platinum guards. Well, her platinum guards didn't find a corpse. And this poor gentleman was finally reported missing. And of course, the sheriff's department had no trouble finding this corpse. So, in all honesty, and this will come up in operations, I personally, I don't want to speak for everyone else on this platform, I've had enough of my guards, my guards, my guards. We're going to make this a unified a unified guard force under one chief of security. That'll probably be Daniel. And we will place deggies appropriately, where a guard can't just come to the door and yell, we're closing in 10 minutes, everybody out. The guard will have to go into the facility. The guard will have to hit one of these little proxy points to prove that the guard was there. And this issue it has raised quite a bit of controversy because Eva attempted to point at Daniel. Daniel had nothing to do with this. So, yes, there's a great deal of controversy over this problem of this gentleman who died and really wasn't discovered in a timely manner. Okay, there's no big secret here. Maybe we need an article. I don't know. But that's in essence what this issue is about. And maybe is that a little...
It's a little bit better, yes.
Yeah.
That was, I read it in whatever publication. It was a very...
Probably was in Cam report.
Very broad.
Right? You reported this, right, Donald?
I did.
Yeah.
But remember, most of us don't, I didn't realize that we had two factions of security. Most people so,
Yeah, well, exactly.
You gotta talk to us like
Exactly. You should sit at the operations meeting. You know, I can't keep track of the number of times I've heard the phrase, my guards. All right. Yes, Marilyn?
Yes, David, I'm a little annoyed with all the talk that's coming from the audience, if you will, that I've been living here for 30 years. The president sits up there, he calls on people, we ask the question, somebody answers it. Let's not have all this conversation coming from you people out there, you want to talk, come up to the microphone. That's not the point that I was going to make initially, but I just had to say it. Earlier, Bob had said something about if you have questions, you come to the UCO office and the quadrant vice president will help you. For a number of years, I was chair of a committee, and I went to every meeting every month, to the board meeting and all of the other meetings. And I said, why don't we go back to having quadrant meetings? Each vice president had all of the presidents from their buildings come. They would discuss the problems. They would find out things that they didn't know. When I hear that people are still using old set of documents, I can't believe it. We rewrote our documents 3 years ago. And at least every new person in the building knows them. Everybody has a copy of them. Go back to having quadrant meetings so that the president of the building is invited once a month to this meeting. They discuss problems and they go on from there and not come and babble and babble and babble. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. All right. We got the we missed? No. All right. I think we are now in. I think we've been in good and welfare. And I will notice that we've almost certainly lost our core, but neither here nor there. Come on, Neil. Miles.
Thank you, Dave. I just wanted to I heard you say something about the Kal Hasidim, that there will be a public forum. My understanding is that the only level of approval they require is the RO approval, so it will not go to the zoning commission. It will not be
Julie
approved.
Rapture.
So, but just to double check, I'll circle back with you and we'll publish it on your blog. Does that work for you?
Look, if people are throwing around this religious land use and institutionalized persons act, there are outs, and fundamental change of the community is one of the outs. I can't believe the county is not going to look at this.
So
there are two synagogues in literally walking distance of this village. There's a conservative synagogue. There is an Orthodox synagogue. All right? Why should we all suffer for this issue of sects? Right? I would think 2 synagogues for a little village like this is more than enough. And I can't believe the county, and I understand the sensitivity of religious issues, but this is what the county commission is paid to do, is to look at things like this. This is very irritating.
So I just want to be straight with you. So my understanding at this point is that it only does require DRO approval, but I will,
So there will be no ability for people to be heard on this?
So let me just check on that and circle back with you. But I just want to, be clear about what my understanding is at this point and share that with you honestly.
So how would the county look upon the establishment of a Baal worship center on Duck Island? All right, thank you. What else? What do we got? Oh, you're next, sir.
Hi, I'm John Harley, and I own 2 units here in the village, okay? I just recently purchased one in Andover, G. And I'm doing some renovations down here, and I filed for everything that I'm doing, okay? And one of the things that came up when you guys were talking about the circuit breakers and so forth, I'm changing the circuit breaker inside the unit, and I wanted to put it in an instant hot water heater, and I was told that I cannot do that, okay? It's outlawed in Century Village, so I put in a regular heater. Is that true? Is the law?
All right. This issue of the instant hot water heater came up a few years ago. When these things fire up, they draw a tremendous amount of power. They really do. You look into this. Some of these instant water heaters will pull over 100 amps when they first fire up. Water is not easy to heat at great volume when it's flowing. And in fact, I do not believe you'll be able to get a permit at this time to
I'm not doing it. I'm not
okay.
doing it. But the issue did come up, and when I looked at it, I said, hell with it, I'm going this far, I might as well do it, upgrade it as far as I could.
Right.
And they did tell me that it drew too much electricity and so forth.
Yes.
And there were problems with it. They told me that historically, there have been some fires in the village as a result of it.
No, not as a matter of that circuit breaker failing. Now, if you load it up with excess amperage, yeah, you're gonna have a problem. Sure you are.
All right, let me go back to the second question. I'm gonna go back to the thing of the synagogue too, okay? When the gentleman got up, and I happen to know from the gym, okay, he was talking about certain issues that the rental facilities, they're gonna rent a certain portion of it, and 3,600 feet are gonna be for the synagogue.
Yes.
What prevents them, first of all, I thought that it was illegal to have a religious community inside the village, okay? And that opens up a precedent for a Catholic religious facility, a Protestant religious facility, and it opens up a can of worms, okay?
Sure.
Secondly.
Another reason why the county should look at this.
Okay. Secondly, what prevents when the lease, let's say for example, the real estate broker lease is up, and when the lease is up, now they decide from going from 3,600 square feet to 4,800 square feet.
All right. First of all, be careful. It's not a lease. They own the building.
Okay.
And as far as I can see, nothing would prevent them from increasing the square footage that's dedicated to the synagogue. except that they might be impacting existing businesses there and shoot themselves in the foot by reducing their income. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, they could build additional building, but that absolutely would require all sorts of permits and permissions. But you're right, there's nothing that prevents them from increasing the size of that house of worship. Nothing really. All right, all
Okay, thank you.
right. And Dr. H.
As long as we're on the subject of the building, I would ask Mr. Hammer to give you the link that he gave me so that people can easily see the 17 or 18 PDF pages that the organization has submitted and changes. One of those pages discusses why they wanted to reduce the number of parking spaces. If I read it correctly, they want to put in 2 swimming pools between the building and the Century Village Boulevard. One of 975 square feet for women and 1,000 square feet for men. That's all I can say is get that link if you're interested and look at those pages.
All right, thank you. Yes.
I just have one last comment in regards.
What?
One last comment in regards to the gentleman that was talking about the water heaters. In my building, we're experiencing a lot of people that are doing upgrades, and I'm fearful that our electrical system just won't handle all of the dishwashers and garbage disposals and the lights that are drawing on what most of us have as aluminum wiring going through the buildings. What we're looking into, and perhaps some other associations might be interested in doing this, perhaps if we can do it together, it would reduce the cost, is upgrading our electrical system. So we would actually be drawing more power from the transformer into our electrical panel in our electrical rooms. Then we would have to upgrade the wiring going from the electrical room into each apartment. And that would then allow us to be able to have these tankless water heaters and the light so that we're not drawing too much power. Also, it's something that we all need to consider. As new people move in, they're all redoing their apartments and putting in more, just drawing more power. So just a suggestion. Maria Sussex H, call me.
I think any modern day construction engineer will in essence agree with what you said. 100 amp service in the modern age is totally inadequate. Totally inadequate for the potential for appliances and equipment that you might put in that unit. You know, 100 amp service, I mean, must go back 50 years or more, maybe more than that. All right, now, we've certainly lost our quorum, so I think at this point, I will ask for a motion. Oh, sir, you wish to be heard?
I do.
Yes, please.
A couple of points.
Go to the mic.
Part of the problem here is,
Sir, maybe you should
Pull your mask down.
lower your mask. Yeah.
we have, part of the problem we're experiencing here with apathy is that there's so many renters and people investing that there are very few owners in some of these buildings. And the owners that are there, a lot of them are snowbirds. So it becomes extremely difficult to get aboard. So that's one of the issues. And we're probably, you can see through your investigation department, quite inundated with a lot of these people that are buying up many units. I know in our building, there's one person that has like 7 or 8 units throughout the village and so on. So I don't know if there's any caps on that or not, but it's a major problem because a lot of these people that are renters are here today, gone tomorrow, etc. And so that's one thing. Now, with the legal fees, a lot of these issues that come up is, yeah, see your attorney, which is fine, but it becomes extremely expensive And a lot of buildings are reluctant to do that, obviously. So is there a way of considering having a bulk legal service like you do for cable or some of the other issues where there's economies of scale? Could be like insurance that we have, for the village. Same thing for legal. That all the associations would be able to tap into that, and because of that buying power, be able to get not only maybe more economical, but more consistent service. Someone who specializes, attorney are different calibers, obviously, and some may not be much into condos, but be a general litigator or whatever they might be. So would that be something that you look to consider? I suggest that might be helpful. The other point I have is, keep hearing about this, my guards and all these issues with WPRF, and I know you need the associations to step up and sign, and the quadrant issue with the vice president holding these meetings might help bring some of these recalcitrant associations into fold. But would it not be helpful to, what do we need to do to buy that? Can you speak directly? What are the legal options that we have in terms of once and for all buying the clubhouse and all the rec facilities, getting rid of this nonsense that we have? We're paying all their expenses and so on. Like this guy that died, what's the legal responsibility that we have because the guards, didn't find him and so on. There's all these issues that with WPRF that doesn't make sense to me, that we be paying their insurance premiums and everything else. Comment on that, please.
Let me start with the concept of buying a rec facility. This was actually discussed extensively before Senrec sold out from under us to Benson Capital. Now, if you approach Benson Capital in light of the rental system that's in place, they're going to calculate out those rents for a decade or whatever till the expiration of the lease in 2068, and they're going to try to extort an incredible amount of money at this point to buy this clubhouse. They're going to start claiming all this lost income and whine all the way to the bank. Additionally, they've kind of made it clear, based on the rental that they rake in, that the facility is not for sale. Now, anybody can say that, but if you throw enough money at somebody, but you're talking a lot of money here. And guess who's got to pay that money? All of us sitting out there. On the legal thing, we kind of did approach, in fact, we did approach Mark Friedman. But Becker and Polyakoff, they're not offering us any great deal. Mark will provide legal services, but there's no great service. There's no great savings. We ought to come to his class, by the way. Okay? And so, while we can look at that, none of these lawyers are going to give away their services very cheap. We get a reasonably good rate from Rob Tennyson on a limited range of issues. It's about $155 an hour, which is a great deal based on what some other lawyers will charge you, $300-400 an hour. But we're always looking. We used to have a much more active legal committee. I don't think the legal committee has done anything in many years. And they had backup from local attorneys, Sachs and Sachs for the most part. And so, I'll take your input seriously and we'll look around. I understand. Legal can be very expensive for an association on their own. And any issue that you have in any association that has village-wide impact, we will send in and get an opinion. Just write it down. Not personal, not personal legal, but if it has a general impact on all the associations, sure, we can do that. We've done that for years. Okay? Now, let me try again. There's nobody here. We couldn't take a vote anyway. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So it'll be,
I think we have a motion from Dan and multiple seconds. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming out. You have another job? Yeah. You have 15 jobs? Yeah. I get you, mate. You're going to be down one of the front offices, student has to find Phil's house. Phyllis, you started here?
Sure.
Hey, where are you at?
Bob. For the minutes.
Oh, thank you.
discussing the acquisition.
And then in your unit, you have a program.
Yeah. Are you in town?
Medical center.
Yeah, I'll catch you later. I'm going. I'm going up to Sebastian for the weekend. There's apparently some kind of music thing going on. I don't know, this girl that I talked to.
She got a jumper.
She jumped off?
No, she was looking to jump.
Oh, she's got to go to the bathroom, that's right.
If you're using LED bulbs, the television doesn't have a big tube that sticks out 12 inches. So
All right.
you're using less electricity for more appliances today.
All right, bye-bye.
So what was good then is good now.
Sadie.
The breakers that you might want are the ones that are in your
Sadie, down. Down.
corridor. As you walk down the hall, you've got a picture hanging over.
Stay there.
That which change was, because they make little ones, but the ones that